Hello and welcome back to your favourite YouTuber with that microphone that is worse than that 3-year-old you found on Call of Duty in 2007. Today, we are back after a month break. Yikes. 15th of February and it's the 2nd. Jesus Christ. If it isn't obvious, I like fantasy.
It's not obvious.
I like fantasy. As an avid fan of Final Fantasy and The Legend of Zelda, I love the fantasy setting in video, and I even used to play D&D and Magic the Gathering. So, you can guess what I did when this game came out?
Yes.
Yeah, but anyway, Wonderland's got released, so that's cool. I first played Borderlands back in January and have since finished 2, finished 1, played all of the DLC in the second game, and of course, played Tiny Tinas Assault and Dragon Keep. I've played Fable, Oblivion, Zelda, Final Fantasy, Fighting Fantasy, Genshin Impact, and none of these games have come close to replicating D&D like Tiny Tina's Assault and Dragon Keep. The fantasy, the dialogue, the quests, the dice rolling, the jokes, the improv. This DLC was so amazing. Not only because I love D&D, but because I love Tiny Tina, the best character in Borderlands. The only reason this DLC isn't my favourite, beyond a doubt, is because, oh my god, I hate the skeletons with a searing passion. This one shot had it all, and has it all. 10 out of 10, best game ever, remake the skeletons is flawless, but we aren't here to talk about Attack on Dragon Keep, or Borderlands 2 Game of the Year Edition Tiny Tina's Assault and Dragon Keep.
What a mouthful.
Tiny Tinas Wonderlands was released literally last week. Like I said, it's the big game version of Tiny Tina's Assault and Dragon Keep. So Wonderlands is the first PS5 Borderlands, not including the Borderlands 3 re-release. Since Wonderlands got the next gen treatment, I'll be playing it on a launch PS4. Wonderlands begins with the great Dragon Lord as he begins to resurrect his skeleton army and take over the world when Valentine, Fret, and the Fate Maker comes to save the day. But they're too late, until Queen Buttstallion comes in, saves the day, and seals away the Dragon Lord in a Sword of Souls. The end. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did. Bye! So the next campaign begins, for real this time, and this is where the character creator comes in. Most Borderlands games have minimal customization with you picking a class, getting a few more outfits and colours in the game, but Wonderlands lets you create a character from scratch, and it's amazing. I've spent 3 hours on this thing. So with your figure painted, you enter the world of the Wonderlands, and are on yet another quest to kill the Dragon Lord. Jesus Christ, this guy's role keeps dragging on. The game runs and feels just like Borderlands 3. Flashy visuals, nice guns, vibration feedback, ledge jumping, yada yada yada. Although I've spent 70 hours on Borderlands 2, I haven't spent much on 3, and I can say, holy mother of Christ on a bicycle, is Borderlands 3 a fun game, combat-wise. Let's go back to Wonderlands. Wonderlands has the same gunplay and all the other games. There's no change, except a more fantasy name and feel for the weapons. The combat is Borderlands gunplay. That's where it finishes. This game adds spells as a replacement for grenades, and similar to grenades, they vary in abilities, status effects, power, but they aren't explosive. Now here are some of my favourite parts about Wonderlands. They make melee viable. Melee has never been something to rely on much in Borderlands, aside from like Brick and a few other characters with buffs or mechanics linked to melee, such as Lilith, Gage, or Zero. But when you play Borderlands, you go in all guns blazing. Not all fists blazing, unless you're Brick. But that changes here and now. Wonderlands adds a separate inventory slot for weapons, allowing them to become part of the loot, which can be good or bad depending on how you play. But Wonderlands makes melee weapons really good. You got different hit speeds and damage bonuses than other abilities for rarer weapons such as heal on hit and spell time regen. Now it would just be criminal to neglect what Borderlands has done best in all of its games, the humour. I can single-handedly say this game is amazing on that level. One of the reasons Attack on Dragon Keep was so fun was that I knew what it was. I mean, although I love this game, there are a few negatives I'm not a fan of.
Issue 1.
The story feels a little bland. Although Borderlands 2 is my third favourite game of all time, the main story was not perfect. Early game was slow, stuff only got good about Sanctuary in the air, and it was still a little slow with levelling, but that's different. My problem is that Attack on Dragon Keep was short, snappy, and worked, but I can't see Attack on Dragon Keep simplicity carrying the whole story of Wonderland so far.
Issue 2.
One of the reasons I loved Attack on Dragon Keep was that the Borderlands characters in DLC, Brick, Lilith, Roland, Mordecai, Salvador, Jack, and Tina, playing bunkers and badasses. Dumb fantasy with cool ass characters. But in Wonderlands, there isn't. The game takes place in Tina's cave, with you, Valentine, and Fret playing with Tina. I think this is a huge mistake. Setting this in Sanctuary feels like a much, much better idea. Of course, I haven't played the fight for Sanctuary, so it probably screws with the lore. D&D is all about fantastical bullshit with your friends. I mean, unfortunately, you can't take away the chaotic roleplay, like burning down an entire house because you're an idiot. Why did you do that, Dante? You need to increase the player interaction when you can't have that. I think that although Valentine, Fret, and Tina are great, I love Attack on Dragon Keep for its interactions with old characters, new characters, and just basically turning Borderlands into fantasy. And although it does that here, it kind of just leads it far away and into its own thing, which is fine, but that's not what I really wanted.
Issue 3.
I f***ing hate how talk is censored now. It's bullshit. I know I just wrote 2 pages of all my problems with this game, I don't want to give off the feeling the game is bad. It's not. My god, this game is fantastic. It's a great fantasy game with amazing combat, great humour, interesting turns, and has a high chance of becoming one of my favourite games ever. I would recommend this game to every Borderlands fan so far, and I'd recommend Borderlands 2 to any non-fan. Now, the most important question for any game ever released in the history of mankind. When is a Switch port coming?